For most fathers, the legal system when it comes to custody and visitation doesn't always work in their favor. Today's guest is going to talk about how to navigate the system, and we're also going to delve deep into those issues to hopefully guarantee some success for you. Most people give you 2 cents, but I'm a little extra. I'm going to give you 3. Hey, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Shaynel's 3 Cents. Today, I have an incredible guest with me today, and we're going to be talking about some of the things that most fathers go through or that some fathers go through and how you can come out on top dealing with the legal system and making sure that you can have visitation and custody and make sure that you're able to raise emotionally healthy children. My guest today, Mr. Mitchell Wright.
Welcome. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming. Can you tell us a little bit about you?
Well, she just introduced me. I am Mitchell Wright from Baltimore. I am a father's right activist, as well as a paralegal, as well as a crisis management individual. I as well have a foundation in which I am gearing up to commit to the healthy relationships between fathers and children. I'm a husband, and I'm a father of 4, studying to be a family lawyer, to be the Johnny Cochran of family law for dads.
I love that. I love that. Studying to be the Johnny Cochran. I'm working on my Iyanla, Oprah / Dr. Phil. So that's what we do here on Shaynel's 3 Cents.
Good.
But tell me a bit how you got into the father's rights movement.
My daughter's mom and who I was dating at the time, we fell apart because of situations that I cannot disclose. And after that, I seen that she was not for me. She was all about what I can provide her at that given time. We had a child. We broke up. We ended collaboration. Right after that, she started alienating me from my daughter. And we went to
that's a really big thing that a lot of people are starting to talk about, parental alienation and how it's actually a thing where people say that, well, I can't see my kid or she won't let me see my kid. And, science is starting to prove that this is something that's really important to make sure that we're able to raise good, healthy children outside of parents neglecting to let their kids see the other parents.
Yes.
So, absolutely.
Yes. It's always been there, the alienation portion, like in Maryland laws, it's on the books, but they tell you quick, fast, in a hurry. A judge can't do nothing about alienation. It's right there in their Maryland codes. But when you say, well, I want to have my child now more time or equal because she's alienating the judges and the masters in the Baltimore City Court, they ignore it and just go ahead on about their daily routine.
Now, do you think that's something that's mostly on the Baltimore side, or in your experience, has it been something that you see in the state of Maryland as a whole?
I would say the state of Maryland as a whole, because it's dealing with the Maryland laws. The judges down there are given what you call wide discretion in which they should not have, that should be modified, because this is what is having a terrible hold and problem on fathers and their children. It pisses me off sometimes because I'm like, how does you have one judge who believes that he or she is above God in the world?
I might be in the wrong line of business.
Yes.
But
Yeah, you actually are. But there's a lot of ramifications of what you could do in reference to judges.
Okay, so if we're, again, talking about the state of Maryland, I think Maryland is kind of sits in a really interesting spot because, of course, we're sitting on the side of the District of Columbia, and then, of course, on the other side is Virginia.
Yes.
Can you tell us what you know about what the rating that Maryland has gotten across the U.S. with regards to their shared parenting and custody laws that we currently have on the books?
Yes, the last time I checked, Maryland was graded at F. I'm sorry.
F for failure?
Yes, F for failure. The court, they had noticed too. I've brought this to their attention about them being graded F. And when I bring it to their attention, they say, oh, well, don't pay attention to what you hear in the news media and what is written about us. But it's true. We're living it. I'm one of the victims. I have a desk full like this of clients that I'm dealing with that are having the same hard times. So it's absolutely true.
Okay. Well, let me play devil's advocate for a second here. So a woman and a man, they come together and make a baby. It doesn't matter if they're married. They liked each other enough to make a baby.
Yes.
So something happens, the relationship breaks up. And let's say, for instance, the relationship is broken up because the father goes to jail for illegal activity.
Yes.
And again, for the sake of devil's advocacy, would say he goes to jail for doing drugs.
Yes.
Can the mom then go to court and say, well, he's a drug dealer, I don't want him around my kid?
Yes.
Yes.
It's unfortunate that she would do that, but she would only do that in the midst of if she felt like she was going to get some type of, if the male say, well, I want custody, she could use that over his head. A lot of women, especially in the urban community, deal with men who they know have legal ratification problems. They're in the street life, they're doing things, and that's their win. I can now hold that as a dangle over your head to say, you know what, yeah, I know you did it, yeah, I accepted you. The courts ain't gonna look at that.
I dated you when you was a drug dealer, and I rode in your drug dealer car, and got my hair, my nails done with your drug dealer money. But if we break up, when we go to court, I'm gonna tell everybody that you're a drug dealer and you're unfit.
Oh yeah, and more than likely, some of the most cleverest women that I know, and even though I'm studying for men, I really adore the individuals that just really sit there and let the lawyers do it, because they like you said, they accept the behavior and they reap the benefits of this behavior, but they're quick to go get a lawyer, and they'll sit there on the side of the opposing counsel, and the lawyer will sit down there and chew that man apart, give him characters that's not his, talk about his past, talk about his, his grandma history, everything, because what the lawyers are designed to do is do anything that you can do to ruffle his feathers. We need to make him on the stand seem unbearable, and this is where I come in. So if we can make him seem unbearable, unstable, we can talk about his history, his past. We can say he don't have a place to go. We can say that he's selling drugs or whatever. But you, on the other hand, you have public housing, your grandma, everybody else. You're on a better foot than him, because again, and I'm going to give judges credit. If I was a judge, I'm going to leave the child, or I'm going to keep the child with who the child can best benefit from.
Okay, and I think that from what I hear you say, that most of the judges tend to make these decisions based upon who they think makes a better fit for that child. And oftentimes it may be a combination of the mom and the dad, but if one is able to shed more negative light on the other, that's a problem.
Yeah, by way of attorney though, I've sat in the back of courtrooms, to still do it today. Last week, I had an individual email me in reference to something in which he was going through. But I'll sit in the back of these courtrooms and I'll hear the judges and masters, because normally they're going before masters first. So when you go before a masters, it's like your mind is already set and made up. All that master's doing is typing something and giving it to the judge to sign off on. So you really at the master's mercy
of what may happen with custody of that child. Okay. Do you recommend that most men, when they go into the courts, that they obtain an attorney or connect with maybe an organization to maybe get a what they call it, a free attorney, someone that will represent them free of charge?
Yes, and I'll tell you why. I solely recommend, as of today, I don't think no individual, male, should go inside of a family courtroom in Baltimore City, and mostly other families, because the laws are not set for men. They're absolutely set for the mother.
Which is interesting, because that's only been the case the past 100 years. If we look back on history, when families separated back in the early 1900s, 1800s, custody went to the father. Because the father was the one that actually worked. He owned the farm, he owned the house, and the moms were interchangeable. So
but we also got
it's a different story.
But we also got to understand those was for the wealthy ones. It wasn't for the ones that was in, picking cotton, again, Esther Rose, how she said on Good Times, I told them I would not play, the stereo role of not being a father. She said there has to be a father.
That's right.
They also, after that, they turned around and they did the Tuskegee Airmen. They wanted to shoot all the men up with syphilis, so that way we can have control of your house. And now what we have is the welfare and the Section 8 and everything else is, you can't have a qualified man in the house. Because you have a qualified man in the house, that means you don't need us. But I tell you what, as soon as you get angry with him, if you get angry with him, come on over here to us. Let us put our foot on his neck. You don't got to do it no more. We can do it. Yeah, talk them out, cuss them out, take his services. Y'all can too be in the kind. But if you can hide behind the laws in which I make for you, you're good. Bring them to me.
That hurts. That just kind of hurts here. So let's talk about something that's a little better, because you're absolutely right. There are a lot of negative things that have historically happened within the Black male community. Yes. But in looking at ways to redeem yourself, ways to seek support, what are some of the suggestions that you have based upon your experience working not only for yourself but with other men that can help you go to court and get a fair exchange of custody and or visitation?
First, I tell fathers, and I would like to, all fathers, doesn't matter if it's Maryland, even though that's my state, get with an organization that can support you first. Don't go inside of a court and fill out those paperwork. The paperwork is very vague, and you're being judged right on that paperwork. So you need to go with people that can identify with you, that can sit down with you, that attorneys, organizations, like mine, legal aid, if they doing it. I don't really recommend legal aid.
But find someone, find someone to help.
Don't go down there and tackle this yourself, because your poor occupational handwriting on that application sends a signal.
I like that. We say that in the employment arena as well. Yeah. Type it, because you're being judged on what you see on the paper.
And then even when you type it, have 2 to 3 people that will not, because I'm going to be honest, a lot of males, we don't have the time and luxury like women do, or girls, to get a lot of reading and grammar and stuff like that. It takes us a while to get it. You just got to keep taking it. Women are more and girls are more prone, to be in school to get it and, have it click. We're survival mode from the time we come out our mom's womb. So take it to 2-3 people, before you say, hey, I need you to go over this. I need to type this. I want to put my best foot forward to the court, but don't go down there and fill out that paperwork.
Okay, so get some help. Make sure the paperwork is filled out correctly. What will be the next steps for making sure that, do you actually look at or make suggestions for any lifestyle changes that they may need to make immediately before an order is placed?
Absolutely. One, I tell fathers before they even go to court, or even in the midst of court, one, you have to realize you have to, deal with yourself mentally and housing. Mentally and housing is going to be the first 2 things in which this court looks at. Then financially. 2, before you go into court, you should already, even if you break up with, the mom, y'all had a baby or whatever, even if it's husband and wife and they decide to settle, always provide for your child, but keep your
receipts.
No,
your receipts.
I'm gonna object right there. Do not keep receipts. What I tell individuals is go get you a prepaid card. And out that prepaid card, you transfer that money on that card, and you only use that card for your children or your one child. The reason why is because that's FDIC insured. You can't take the judge a bunch of receipts because Shaynel could have gave me that receipt.
Okay. Well, that makes sense to me. And I guess one of the things that, in my opinion, when I look at something like that, I think that when a dad says she's keeping my kids from me, I always look at them a little crazy. What do you mean she's keeping your kids from you? If you don't have a court order, nobody's keeping you from your kids.
Absolutely.
And I would hear, countless stories of individuals saying, I haven't seen my kids in 2 years because she won't let me see them.
Me.
If you wanted to see your kids, I at least want to know that you have a court order on file, that you've been to the house, you've talked to 3, 4, 5 different organizations. That is a pet peeve for me, that when men say I haven't seen my kids, and I ask, well, what have you done? And they say, well, I tried to call her. Oh, that's it? Okay, so clearly you probably are not that interested in seeing your kids. So
good. I'm glad that you said that. That kind of teased me off when individuals online, offline, say that, because they don't know what the mindset and what all the father knows is, I want to see my child. All she knows is to change her number, change her address, run, hide. And once after so many attempts, he's allowed to give up too. He's allowed to have emotions and feelings. So by the time he give up, he don't know things are traveling in through the court. He gets a child support order in the mail. he gets a summons in the court to mail, and then he's like, well, I was trying to see my kids, but she wouldn't let me. And they playing around with these apps, different numbers, and it's not that easy.
Different ways to disappear.
Yes,
and
you can go to in every state in the United States of America, you have joint custody until it gets before adjudicated court, which is family court.
And a lot of people don't know that. That actually brings me to another point that I wanted to make with regards to shared parenting legislation. There are currently, as of 2018, there are 20 states that have 50-50 shared parenting.
Yes.
And the best states, aside from those 20, the worst state is actually Tennessee. So don't make a baby with anybody in Tennessee, because if y'all break up, you ain't gonna see the baby.
Yes.
But a lot of states are trying to move towards that shared parenting legislation, to make sure that if something happens, whether you're divorced or whether you're not together, that both parents have equal access to the kids.
Yes.
Do you agree that that's something that we should start pushing forward so that we won't have this many difficulties in the courts?
Are you saying here in Maryland?
Mm-hmm. Because our legislation just failed again, January 24, 2019, to try to change that.
Well, I would like to say because we already been doing it for decades.
Mm-hmm.
They just won't move. One of the top people, her name is Jill Carter, does
Delegate Carter, former Delegate Carter.
Yeah, she's a senator now, does great work. She always puts her best foot forward and say, these fathers are being mistreated. These fathers are suffering from insidious bias in family court. She puts the bills out there, but no one backs her. And the reason why they don't back her, because again, Maryland don't want to see the men thrive. If you see the men thrive, then you can't have, again, like I said, the pity. Oh, I'm a single mom. I need these services. Well,
there's also a lot of money in it.
Yeah,
there's a lot of money in paying child support and having the court support those.
Then you can't have these workers. You can't have judges on the bench, doing orders, because when you do 50-50, that's basically saying that, guess what? You got to cut this income.
Right. And or even if some parents are not ready to give 50-50, what if you can only give 60-40, or you can only give 70-30? At least you have the opportunity to be present and have your voice heard right away.
Yes. But we need to, I'm going to just be honest, we need all new senators. They don't care. If you take a look at Maryland, we are in a very bad shape from education, our educational system, our mayor, our politicians, the police department, the hospitals. So the whole city is in a whole kit and caboodle. Everybody goes after all of them, but no one goes after the family court. No one goes after the judges.
Well, I think that's something that we're definitely going to have to get into. And I'm not sure if you noticed, but not if you noticed, but if you knew that I actually sat in and actually spoke to one of the legislatures in 2017 behind that bill. And again, it was really disappointing to see so many people that were there as support saying, just give it to the mom, just give custody to the mom, and then the dad can discuss it.
Yes, absolutely. House of Roof, they're famous for giving out old data.
They had 3 attorneys.
Yes.
I like some of the work that they do with regard to helping women.
Yes.
Right. And so kind of circling back where you talked about some of the issues that we have in society and how do we correct them, what are some of the solutions that we can, share with our guests about how to make things better? I mean, does it have to start with, first choosing your mate? I remember my mom used to tell my brother when I was young, and I didn't know what it meant, but she said, don't sleep with nobody that you didn't want to make a mom. And I think I was 12. I didn't understand that. But now as an adult, I'm like, oh, okay. So again, what type of simple solutions can we offer to kind of fix this situation and bring our families back together?
One, we have to understand the moment that you lay down and you start doing your adult behavior, something is going to come out of it if you're not protecting yourself. You got to be ready for those ramifications that are going to come in, if it's good or bad. A lot of the men are not preparing themselves for good or bad situations. Things in which we can do is we could keep better journals. There's nothing wrong with men keeping journals. I don't know.
Document things.
Document.
You're going through your parenting.
Yes, document it. Keep a note, Evernote, OneNote, or whatever. Also, what I tell people to do in this day and age, find out. Be honest. Find out if they have both of their parents, and mostly in time, especially if the woman has a father. Because if she has a good, stern father, more than likely she's not going to trickle that same behavior down to you. She's going to want her children to have the same thing.
because she's had it in her own
Yes.
life.
A lot of the times you will hear a lot of the,
Do they have that on like Plenty of Fish or on Match.com where
they need
you
to
ask a woman,
we need, they need
where do you
to.
live, where do you work, what parents do you have? Are both of your parents in your life?
Yeah.
Is your mama's?
And that needs to be,
So we need to do a better job
a
of
better
vetting
background
the
check.
the people that we date.
Yes, a background, do a thorough background check on the individual, because after that individual, when they want to go after you, the people who they going to seek after you is going to do a thorough background check on you. So why not do yours first?
Okay. Now, funny, I thought your first solution would be to wrap it up. That's always my first. Let's start there. Let's wrap it up.
Nature.
Make sure that you don't go into possible fatherhood.
Nature. Nature calls. So because nature calls, we indulge in it. And every, woman, and man, they got to accept accountability. I'm big on accountability.
Well, I'm big on money. I mean, you can get a box of condoms, depending on the brand, for $5 versus raising a kid. I think the average cost from 2018 is about $2,300,000. So I'm looking at $5 versus possibly $23,000. So
if you look on that side, you can say, well, guess what? I'm big on contraception for women.
Yeah, we will have to come back and talk about that. But you're right. Let's talk about making sure that we are planning for children. And part of that planning is making sure that you're safe moving forward, making sure, as you said before, that you have a network and working with an organization, maybe a church, and or possibly connecting with people in some of your local government. And as you said, hopefully you're able to get a good contact from legal aid so that you're able to go to court and fill out the appropriate documentation to try to see your kids.
I would not suggest legal aid, though. I think we also.
Are you speaking from Baltimore, or can we say there are other types of possible legal aid?
Baltimore.
Okay.
Legal aid gets funding just like every other organization, but of course they're going to put majority of their funding where they can feel like they can get the big caboodle.
Get the most thing out of it. Okay. What about mental health services, making sure that you're mentally prepared, that you're able to deal with that anger.
Yes.
You're able to deal with some of the negative emotions that come with, fighting
it helps.
A custody battle.
It definitely helped, this last situation which I'm going through with my child being ripped from me by false protective orders. I guarantee you, Miss Shaynel, if I wouldn't have went to I guarantee if I didn't have a lovely wife, but I had to go to therapy so that way I can be better for myself and not take it out on my wife and my kids.
Absolutely.
Therapy works. If you have private insurance, if you have state-sponsored insurance, see a therapist.
Absolutely. And or churches or mosques or any type of support system. If you have some family members that are able to, listen and share with you some of their, past stories, successes or fails.
But don't listen to the
system.
I wouldn't say listen to the, the stories before you go get your story handled out, first, because we all got family backgrounds and we're dealing with, different things. But I would like to say also what we can do is we need to start holding our churches who we go to every Sunday. We need to start holding our family lawyers, and we need to start holding the judges more responsible and more accountable, because this is a new age now. I feel as though, and me and my wife go through this all the time, she's going to school for rehabilitation counseling. I sit and I tell her, me and anybody else studying new when it comes down to anything dealing with family, that you should always give out free time. Because someone is going to need you. You could save a life. I hope to be the next best lawyer, but I guarantee you I want to do every month, one free case a month, because that help breaks the pain away.
And that's passing it down and paying it forward. So as we come to a conclusion, what are some of the things that dads can do when they're finally able to get with their children? Is it, speaking positively to them?
Yes.
Making notes or affirmations of, not talking bad about the other parent, letting the child know that you love them and that, you hope to see them again soon. So what are some of the things that, parents should be saying to their kids when they're able to reunite with them?
Seek all free resources like the moms in around your local city. Spend time with them. Yes. Don't talk bad about the parents. I don't, even though I get accused of such.
Well, you can talk bad about them, just not to the kid. Tell your friends, your family.
Yes. Seek all the free resources are there for you in your pamphlets, your newspapers, whatever. Use them. The moms use them. They're able to come into court and they say, well, I've done this, and that. And it's free. but a lot of the men don't know these resources.
Which is one of the reasons why you started your
Yes.
organization. I know my organization, OBF, we have a page full of resources
Yes.
for parents on the same, and men clearly have a model on how to do the same, on how they can
Yes.
improve. So before we close, do you have any closing comments about where people can connect with you, or any places that you'll be in the future?
You can connect with me on Twitter. You can connect with me on Twitter as well as Instagram at MD Wright, WRIGHTSR, as well as you can connect with me on YouTube, which is at Mitchell D. Wright Sr. You can connect with me via email if you have any questions. That email will be MD Wright, WRIGHTSR @outlook.com.
Yeah, I think that's where I emailed you.
Yes.
Mitchell Rice Sr. at outlook.com.
Yeah, you can always catch me there.
Awesome. Look, well, again, I'm so grateful that you were able to come out on the show and kind of shed some light on some of the things that have been going on in Baltimore, and some ways that fathers can get more involved
Yes.
in their kids' lives, as well as how they can better utilize the court system
Yes.
and connect with organizations to kind of help them do a better job of navigating the legal court system when it comes to family law.
And I thank you for having me so that I could spread, a light. And I thank you in having this service, out there to the general public and keeping awareness. I believe one awareness meets with the next awareness. Then somebody else got to be awareness. And I do believe one day we're going to see an equal balance. Until that day comes, we got to keep on pushing. Don't give up, because God haven't given up on you.
I like it. And we'll definitely have you back
Yes.
once we get your
Yes.
get your grant opening
yes.
for your nonprofit.
Yes.
We'll definitely be there to support that.
Yes. No
So again, we
problem.
want to say thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Shaynel's 3 Cents. Hopefully you'll like and follow us and subscribe on our station at PMC Studios.
Please do.
Remember, this is Shaynel from Shaynel's 3 Cents. And remember, I'm AA. I'm almost awesome. Hope to see you next time.
Peace.